Good morning to you all. My name is Artur Assur. I'm an Estonian living and working in the Gulf region. And I'm here today to walk you through the digital transformation journey of Estonia. And I have to say, it's not an easy task to fit the 30 years of the transformation in the 20-minute presentation format. But I'll try to do my best. I've selected kind of the most important milestones on this transformation. Of course, I have to omit and skip some of the other important milestones and the events. But in case you're interested, in case you want to get into discussion about one or the other specific event, just find me under the presentation and we can have this chat. I work as a business area director for Nortal in Gulf region. And Nortal is a digital transformation company. We advise our customers, both government and the large enterprises, across the Europe, across Gulf region, Northern America, and Africa. And I'm also proud to say that Nortal has been blessed to be present in Oman since the year 2010. For many of our people, for many people in our team, Oman has become a home away from home. We have enjoyed the warmth and hospitality of Omani people and many fruitful collaborations with the various public authorities of the Sultanate. Now, it's not a coincidence that today on the stage I represent both my country, Estonia, and Nortal. You see, when it comes to the digital transformation, the Estonia and Nortal, we share this history. Basically, this is the journey, this is the path that we went through together. Nortal's footprint in the digital transformation of Estonia is around 40%. So around 40% of those various digital solutions have been built by our team. And we are extremely proud of that. Now, Estonia is considered to be the world's most advanced digital society. And before I jumped into the journey describing how did we go to this place, let maybe me take a minute to acknowledge and basically explain what does it mean to be the world's most digitally advanced society. And I will do this explanation from my personal experience. So I'm an Estonian, but I live abroad. I have been living abroad for the last 4 or 5 years, and I spent in Estonia maybe 4 weeks a year maximum. But regardless of this fact, I still pretty much on a daily basis I use digital infrastructure of Estonia. I use digital solutions of Estonia. I still operate and manage my micro-business company in Estonia. I file my taxes in Estonia. I do my banking in Estonia pretty much on a daily basis. I vote in every general election of every local election that I'm eligible to vote. I have sold and I have purchased real estate properties. I have registered the birth of my baby girl who was born outside of Estonia and applied for her documents and received. And I did all that without actually being present in Estonia. So basically everything is available for me through electronic channels. To tell you the truth, I don't actually remember the last time I was in any governmental office in Estonia. It might have been 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I really don't remember. There's really no need for me to go. And the way the state of the digitalization of public services in Estonia is today, where basically only registering the divorce, you have to go to the office. So unless I'm divorcing, it doesn't look like I will need to go to public office ever again in my life. But it's not only about digitizing services and bringing services online. It's not about translating the paper bureaucracy into digital bureaucracy. In Estonia, we did a lot of work and put a lot of emphasis into re-engineering of the services that government provides, streamlining the services, applying the latest technology, integrating the system together, doing everything to make the service provision on behalf of the government as effective as possible, as efficient as possible, and then the cost of using the services for the general population, general public, as low as possible. Just to give you a simple example, so if I file my taxes in Estonia, as a normal citizen, as every citizen would do, So basically, when I open my tax filing application, all the data is already on the application. I don't need to spend time looking through my receipts, looking for my expenses, my income statements. Everything is already on the declaration automatically. So basically, the only thing I need to do is quickly review the declaration, make sure that the numbers are correct, and submit my declaration. And basically, if I'm in a refund position, I will be refunded by the government for excessively paid taxes within 3 days after the submission. So basically, the time I have to spend on consuming governmental services is basically bare minimum. Now, talking about the journey, and the journey for us in Estonia starts at the very beginning. So basically, in the year 1991, Estonia regained its independence. We were coming out of the decades of the occupation by the Soviet Union. The state of the economy was pretty much ruined. We didn't have a functioning economy. The employment was skyrocketing. Resources were scarce. And the technology, and more particularly information technology, was viewed pretty much from the get-go by the government as the way of improving efficiency of the government operations, is the way and the tool and the method of doing more with less. And a lot of strategic thinking and the research was put into the idea of finding ways, of utilizing technology so that we don't have to spend that much. We can do more, although resources are scarce. And as a result of all this research and strategic thinking, basically in 1994, the first draft of Principles of Estonian Information Policy was released. And this document basically described the strategy for application technology, high-level roadmaps for technology application, and more importantly, it earmarked 1% of the GDP for the governmental funding for the IT-related projects. Next, in the 1996, in order to make sure that the society is actually ready for this transformation and would be able to use all these technological solutions that are planned to be developed, the Tiger Leap program was launched. So Tiger Leap program was specifically focused on the schools, building infrastructure, computer networks, connectivity, and then focusing that the school would have the means, the tools, and the ways of teaching kids computers and computer skills. So basically preparing the future generation of the users of technology to be able to use that technology. And of course, later on, there were multiple programs, similar training programs for different demographics, population demographics, for adults, for students, for teachers, but basically Tiger Leap in 1996 was the starting point for basically transforming the society as well and giving the society, giving the population the skill and the tools and the means of using the digital solutions. And then also in 1996, e-banking was introduced. And e-banking, even though nowadays it's something which is really simple, but basically back then it was the first e-service and the e-service that had a coverage for most of the population, because most of the population used the banking services. So basically it was a breakthrough and immediate high adoption of the service from the population. And the banking as such has another important moment that I will be also describing in a couple of minutes. And in the year 2000, so the government as well was quite eager to start using the digital solution and adopt the new solutions. So specifically, Cabinet adopted in the year 2000 e-Cabinet solution, which absolutely digitized the whole Cabinet work process, which also brought the average time of the Cabinet meeting from 5 hours to only 30 minutes. So it's a tenfold improvement of the time use of the Cabinet members. And the e-tax board was launched also in year 2000. And that was also a very successful solution with, again, immediate outreach to the huge part of the population. And with the e-tax solution, that was also very interesting incentive mechanism for the population that was developed to make people use e-channels and prefer e-channels instead of traditional submission through paper means and paper channels. So again, for the people who were submitting their declarations electronically, they were getting money returned from the government within the few days. And that basically, that monetary incentive, direct monetary incentive to the population worked miracles. And I think by today, it's probably 99.99% of the population actually use electronic channels. And only in some corner cases, some people still prefer the paper submission. Now, 2001, the X-Road was introduced. And X-Road is an incredibly important solution in Estonia. So basically, this is the interoperability platform that integrates all the systems in Estonia together. Basically, it builds this interconnected web of systems, and all these systems actually communicate and talk to each other in the real time. So this is something that allows, those proactive services, allows pre-populated applications, because the data is being pulled from different sources, different databases on the go in the real time. So today, there are around 1,600 of different systems that are integrated behind the X-Road system. So basically 1,600 systems that communicate and talk to each other. To give you a little bit more numbers, so it's above 6 million data transactions per day goes through X-Road. Over 6 million data transactions per day. So this is actually something that fuels this digital ecosystem and digital landscape of Estonia. Now, moving further into 2002, so electronic identity and the digital solutions were introduced. And both of the solutions have important components on the legislative basis and the technology basis. So legislative basically allowed the electronic signature to have the same powers as the typical traditional pen and paper. Now, the trick there that is in 2002, when the digital identity was introduced, there were no services. And basically, there was no use of digital identity. And this is where I mentioned that banks played the major role in Estonia in adoption of the digital solutions. So in 2005, so basically from 2002 until 2005, there were no actual real-life use cases for the digital identity and the digital signature. But in 2005, what banks did, they said that if you want to conduct a meaningful transactions with the considerable amounts of money, you have to use strong authentication. And basically, you have to use digital identity, which again created this massive pickup for the digital identity. And from that, there was a wave of new services, new solutions, new products that was implemented using digital identity. And the digital identity is used across the board by all the governmental and the private sector institutions. Same universal digital identity solution. In 2005, I-voting. So something that I have mentioned already, since 2005, Estonians are voting electronically, regardless of where they're physically located. So basically, we still, even though the digital nomads like me, not being physically present in Estonia, we still have the chance to continue participating in the, the political life of our country. Now, moving further, 2000 health, e-health breakthrough. So even though by 2000 health, most of the hospitals were already digitized, and most of the hospitals were using their own EMRs and HIS solutions that were digitizing their processes inside the hospital. But in 2008, what was released is the patient record. So basically, it's a nation-level health information exchange solution that integrated all the hospitals, all the medical services providers, pharmacies together in this unique and the common network, which meant for the patients, for the people, so I can transition from the hospital to hospital, from one practitioner to the other practitioner, taking all my medical history, taking all my treatment data with me, and allowing my new doctor to see all this historical information that I have. Basically, based on my permission, based on my consent, I grant consent for the other doctors to see my medical history. So full digitization, no need to tag along those paper records. In 2010, continuation of this, the HIE system, e-prescription was implemented. So from 2010, all prescriptions, medication prescriptions done in Estonia are done digitally. So the only thing I need as a patient, if I go to my pharmacy, is to have my identity with me. I have my digital identity with me, and any pharmacy in the country will dispense the medication that was prescribed by any doctor in the country. 2014, e-residency solution. So by 2014, kind of the level of the digitization of public services was already on such a high level that there was an idea of actually allowing using this digital ecosystem, this digital infrastructure, not only to citizens and the residents of Estonia, but actually to foreigners as well. So foreigners can apply for the e-residency. They receive a plastic digital card with a chip on the card. And this chip gives them digital identity and gives them the door and the way to use Estonian digital ecosystem. With this chip, with this card, they can establish companies, they can open up the bank accounts and start doing business even though not being physically present in Estonia. And it immediately opens up the whole European Union market to the people outside of European Union economic zone. In 2015, Estonia has opened the world's first data embassy. So what data embassy means? Basically, it's a full copy of all governmental systems that located in the private cloud in Luxembourg. So the considerations between opening the data embassy are security considerations. So if anything happens in Estonia, either with the digital infrastructure of Estonia or actually with the physical territory of Estonia, there is a full backup of the whole government system. And if something happens, basically the government can continue their operations even though there is maybe like some crisis happening on the ground in Estonia. And once the crisis is resolved, everything can go back to normal with such a solution. 2017, NIS. So NIS is a Nordic Interoperability Institute. So basically, it's an international organization that was established by Estonia and Finland to basically govern the X-Road solution and to govern the data exchange topics and the solutions on the international scale. So basically working on the cross-border data exchange. And out of this initiative that was launched in 2017, I think the most important, the most palpable result is the launch of the e-prescription solution that works across Finland and Estonia. So basically now, this digital prescription that was prescribed to me as a patient by a doctor in Estonia, I can go to any pharmacy in Finland and I will receive my medication. And the other way around. So basically Finnish prescriptions can get dispensed at the pharmacies in Estonia. And in 2018, so basically after the, I think, initial few phases of the digitization of public services were done, we started thinking, what is next? After the services was brought online, everything was digitized, what is next? And what is next is proactive services, proactive public services, seamless public services that, come proactively to the citizens based on the specific events in the citizen's life. And it's also a large transformational shift in the mindset of service providers and implementers of the services. Because with this concept, we build services taking and prioritizing the service consumers, citizens, residents, objectives, their goals, their needs, their requirements over the ones of the authority that is providing the service. So basically, it's a mind shift that we're building the services around the person, not around the organization that provides the services. And we fully acknowledge that the people who consume the services, the general population, they do not know and they should not know the complexities of the government operations. They have a simple request. They want to file for the benefit for the birth child benefit, or they want to file for the pension, or there's any other events. So basically, with this system, those services come proactively to the population. And I have the last one, I guess, or one of the last ones, so government AI strategy. So back in 2019, we also started working on the widespread adoption of AI by the government. And there is a strategy for the AI application. And one really important aspect of the strategy is that the government authorities were given money to experiment with AI. So basically, any government authority can apply for the funds from the central government, to use certain funds to build the use case. And these funds for building the use case do not come with the requirement of succeeding. So basically, it was decided that it's more important, to have experiment than to expect an immediate result of this use case. It's okay to fail as long as you experiment, because as you experiment, you develop your ideas further, and you further continue developing your services and application of the AI. And the last one on this timeline is the proactive childcare. So from this Seamless Services roadmap, the first service was launched in the 2020, and this proactive childcare, so it's a complex service in the background because there are around 10 different government authorities included in the service provision channel and the decision-making process. But for a citizen, it's extremely simple. So if young parents are in the hospital and they get their baby delivered, everything after that happens for them automatically. The hospital management system registers the birth of the child in the population register. That triggers certain chain of events where the data is asked from the tax authority, from the social security funds, and based on all of this information collected, the parents get their benefit package delivered on their mail, and they just need to accept the composed benefits package without actually doing anything about it. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to engage.